stay on this side, build companies, pay less taxes, and make more money. But the key is a person needs to change the values from my poor dad to the values of my rich dad. And that's one of the beauties of network marketing companies. They allow you the time, and at very low cost, they'll work with you to make that transition over there.
There it is. Robert Kiyosaki can't get more plainer than that. That's the thing that we want to do, is we want to start changing our philosophies as it relates to money. And what we want to do is every last one of us, whether you consider yourself to be E, S, B, or I, whatever quadrant you see yourself in now, every last one of us should be trying to make our way from the left side of that quadrant over to the right side of the quadrant. Wherever you see yourself, you need to be moving that way, in that direction. I actually owned a business, barbershop, and a couple of other things for 20 years. And what happened was I was in the S quadrant. I was self-employed. But the thing about it is my income was directly tied to the hours that I worked in those businesses. And so every time I walked out the door, when I walked out the door, my income stopped just like that. My income stopped. So what happened was I had to realize, wait a second, Kareem, you just own your job. You're no different than the employee. You're in the S quadrant. You own your job. You don't have to worry about getting fired. But as it relates to creating leverage, you are no more better in a situation, in a position, than anybody else that's in the E quadrant. And that's why I made the move to say, okay, let me start doing some things that will create some leverage. Let me get over into this B quadrant and see if I can create some leverage there. Okay. The next thing that you have to be able to do that's going to determine whether you can function and run a business from home, are you teachable, coachable, and trainable? If you're teachable, coachable, and trainable, and then you have a chance, you have a shot. Anybody can do it who is teachable, coachable, and trainable. The thing about it is that you basically kind of have to go through a process of learning. This is the value. This is why it's important to be teachable, or coachable, or trainable, because you go through the 4 stages of learning. Everybody does. The first one is what we call unconscious incompetence. You don't know that you don't know. So you're unconsciously incompetent. You don't even know that what you're saying you want to do, you're not qualified to do it. It just looks so easy. It looks so simple. You watch people on the videos. You watch people you talk to people at the presentation and that type of thing. And you say to yourself, man, this can't be too difficult. It's got to be, I can do this. I can get this done extremely quickly. I don't think this would take no time at all. But the reality of it is you actually get out and you try to do it, and boom, you realize, man, this is going to take some work. This is a little bit more difficult than I thought. Now you go to the second stage. You're consciously incompetent. You still don't know what to do, but now you're aware that you don't know what to do. Okay, so you go from being unconsciously incompetent to consciously incompetent. Well, now this is where decisions are made. This is where it determines whether you can actually survive in this business, because every time you come in contact with something or come to the realization of something that you want to do, but you realize that it's going to be a little bit more difficult than you anticipated, now you have to make a decision. The decision has to be made to whether what you're trying to do, where you're trying to go, whether it's important enough for you to actually make the sacrifice that you need to make in order to be able to acquire the skill set necessary to be successful in whatever the endeavor is that you're trying to do. So then you actually, if it's worth it, you'll put the work in. If it's not worth it, you'll quit. And that's the reality of it. Most people, they get to that level of consciously incompetent, and then when they look out and see what's necessary to accomplish their goal, they say, oh man, nah, it's no way. I'm not gonna, it's not even worth it, man. I'll just take up something else. I'll just do something else. I'll just work harder on my job. I'll just work more hours. I'll see if I can get some overtime. That is just not important enough. And freedom isn't really driving them, so they give up. Well, we want to get you through that stage into conscious competence. Now you know what you need to do, and as you know what you need to do, now you're qualified, you're getting results but you have to be conscious of what you're doing. Just like driving a car. When you first started driving the car, you knew all of the rules, but you had to turn the music down, you had to pay attention, you had to focus on the road, you had to do whatever you needed to do in order to make sure that everything came. Let me put my blinker on, I'm about to make a turn. Well, and then once you do it long enough and get good at it, then you move on into the stage that we call unconscious competence, where you don't have to think about it, you just do it, and you do it naturally. Question is, the last time you drove a car, where did you go? And then the next question is, how many times did you use your blinker from the time you started that journey to the time you arrived at your destination? You don't know. You did it unconsciously. And not like when you first start driving a car, you was probably listening to the radio, having a conversation, talking on the cell phone, texting with another cell phone. You understand what I'm saying? just joking, but this is the things that you were doing. Didn't have to think about it. Well, that's how building a business gets. And the question really boils down to is, do you want it bad enough? Do you want it bad enough to be willing to be bad at it long enough to get good at it? So it's something that you got to answer for yourself. You go ahead and answer that question for yourself. We do training all the time. Our job is taking people who want to go through that process. Don't necessarily have to come with a particular skill, but do you have desire? Do you have something that you're working for, that the reason that you're working for it is big enough for it? You know, me, myself, 5 children, trying to send them all through college. Listen, I got a big why. And so that's what makes me put the energy into what I do in order to be successful. And so you have to ask the question for yourself, what is your why? And is it big enough? Is it big enough to drive you through the pain of rejection? Is it big enough to drive you through the pain of when people say no, when people don't show up, when people say they're going to do something and then they don't do it? Is it big enough to drive you through the pain of that to where you can actually get good at it and then start to generate the success that you want for you and your family? Okay, so like I said, my name is Kariem Primm. Hey, come to my website, check us out, continue to come back to our YouTube channel, and we hope that you're getting some value out of what we're giving. We're going to keep on doing it. Talk to you soon.